In this tutorial, we're going to go over the Vtouch Lite controller and how it works. This particular site has 5 bays, and you can see each bay is separated by each column. And within those columns, there is a log that tracks all the transactions that happen within the bay. Now, this is a temporary log. You can clear it at any time. You haven't lost any transactions or logs when you do this. This is just a display. Your transactions are actually stored somewhere else within the controller. So if you want to take a close look here, this is a gift card that was scanned, and there's the gift card number, and it was declined. So you can see transactions that are declined. And then here is another gift card that was scanned, and it went through. And it went through for $4. That's the pre-auth amount. And then the user pressed stop, and then the transaction was committed for a total of $4. So you can see the whole transaction here. Now, if you want to clear the log, you just select clear, and you start fresh. So the next customer that comes in to use the system, it will get logged. Now, I'd like to explain the green button and the red button. The green button is to turn on the light out in Bay 5. So I want to test a transaction that went through, and this is solely simulated. It's not actually running a transaction. So when I select the green button, it turns the green light on out in the bay for roughly 3 seconds and then shuts it off. And in the log, it shows what time you pushed it, and it's approval, obviously, because it's the green button. And if you select the red button, it does the same thing. It simulates a decline, turns the red light on out in the bay for roughly 3 seconds. And I like to clear the log after I do that, because that's really not information that's needed after you've tested it and made sure the lights are working. Now, up here, you have turn all relays off. This essentially kills the power out to the bay and turns the power back on. So it's cycling the power to the Vtouch Lite bay meter. This here is your settings. So when you select that, it brings up your settings for the Vtouch Lite. Now this here is pulse time on and pulse time off. This is your settings to pulse the bay meter out there. And this particular bay meter, I believe, is from Doyle. And the maximum speed that it can take a pulse is 500 milliseconds. So we'll turn a pulse on for 500 milliseconds, turn a pulse off for 500 milliseconds. And that allows you to create a pulse to put a dollar amount onto the bay meter. Pulse amount. Here is where you want to give a value to the pulse. This particular site, $1 is the minimum coin allowed in the bay meter. So each time a pulse is sent to the bay meter, its value is $1. Now, if your bay meter accepts 25-cent quarters, then you would want this as 25 cents, because that would be your minimum coin accepted. And if somebody did drop a $1 coin in, you would get 4 pulses to create that dollar. Next coin amount. This is if you are using the pre-auth function of the Vtouch Lite. Now, not all processors allow you to do a pre-auth, so this may or may not be used in your application. But here is what you want the next dollar amount to be. So when a customer starts up the machine at a minimum of $4, once the $4 is used, it will send the next dollar amount, which would be $1. And if your pre-auth was set, let's say, at $10, then it would keep sending a $1 amount until the $10 amount is achieved. And then, of course, then at that point, you'd have to swipe your V card or your credit card again to pre-auth another $10. Now this here is your settings for credit card. This particular customer has the start amount at $4, the minimum amount at $4, and a pre-auth at $4. What this essentially does is create a swipe that charges $4 to the credit card and finalizes the transaction at $4. And if the customer would like more time after they've used up $4 worth of time, they'd have to swipe their card again, and then it would be another transaction for $4. Gift card, the settings are the same thing. So if somebody uses a gift card, it's set the same way at $4. You can set gift card and credit card at two different values. So let's say you want to allow somebody more time or do a larger pre-auth, let's say $15, then you would change it to 15. Down here, I would not recommend touching any of these. This needs to be taken care of by a qualified support or a service technician from a distributor. These are settings that if you were to change these, you could cause some serious problems for yourself. And same thing with these. These are test buttons for a service technician or support. So I wouldn't actually mess with any of these. And I hope that explains the Vtouch Lite controller and its basic functions and what it does.